Hey Minions, Jim here with a quick update on Customs Factions Month. I've been really impressed so far with both the quantity and the quality of the submissions so far. I want to give people a quick update as well as have a chance to clarify a couple of things because not everybody checks the Facebook page where it's easier to post updates in real time. The first thing is just a general update on how the submissions are doing. We already have more submissions than we have spots for factions that we can actually feature, and that's a great problem to happen. Competition is a very good thing. It means that if your faction is being shown, you've definitely earned it, and I'm really excited to see who makes it through to the final round. It doesn't matter when you submit. It's not first come, first serve. So as long as you get the faction by the stated deadline and you follow the rules, it's going to be eligible for submission. And I'm really excited to see what we have at the end. Definitely a lot more than I thought so far this early in the process, but that's my problem and I'm looking forward to solving it. And by looking forward to it, I mean it's going to be a nightmare because it's going to be so hard to choose between all these quality factions. But again, that's a very good problem to have, and I'd rather have it that way than another way. One of the funny things is that we've already seen 2 duplicate factions. So that's 2 factions that have been submitted twice. That was going to be inevitable, but one of them was a faction that I had also had planned on featuring during the month. It's actually kind of a surprise that we haven't had this faction. Seems like a no-brainer, but I'm taking myself out of the running for that particular theme for this month. That's not to say that this one will make it necessarily to the end, but I don't want to feature anything that someone else has submitted, so I'm challenging myself to only do things that I come up with that no one else has submitted. There's a very important change to the requirements, and it should hopefully make things easier. I've decided to drop the restriction that you have to send actual images. If you've done that already, that's awesome, and I thank you for that. There were reasons why I wanted to have that rule in place, but there's 2 main reasons why I'm getting rid of it now. The first reason is that when reviewing some of the factions, there are honestly wording changes that need to go into place. It's okay. Wording changes are not going to have anything to do on the selection process, but we're trying to clean these up as much as possible so that they can be polished for everyone to consume. Not everyone has had the excruciating of experience of trying to write a proper smash-up card with consistent wording and making sure that there's not any holes, particularly in the English language, which is the worst language. There's conditionals can be a little bit odd. Where you place certain punctuation can matter. So I'm working with everybody to clean that up. If you've got an email from me, you're not the only one. It's pretty much been everyone at this point, and it doesn't really make sense to require images that I know are going to be incorrect in the long run. I wasn't expecting the wording to be this far off. The second thing is that there are honestly some very talented people out there who are submitting factions. The quality is absolutely awesome, and we should really focus on cleaning that up after we've made the selection process, trying to make it be as professional as possible, whether it's asking for volunteers. Someone's faction quality is not going to be driven by whether or not they have artistic talent. Everyone is going to do better than mine. If you look at the Nobody's faction, it looked pretty awful. But that's because I don't care. That doesn't change the quality of the faction. But I want to thank people who did submit images. If your images are awesome, I may be enlisting your help because I think that you're great at it. And of course, you'll be credited as such for helping with actually make the actual images. So to summarize, images are no longer required. You can send them if you have them. Certainly, if they're high quality, we may keep them if you're chosen, but they are no longer required. The last thing I wanted to clarify, and this is really important, is that the ruling of the current rulebook has to stand. I've seen a couple of factions where it's really iffy as to whether or not the faction can work with the comprehensive rulebook. And that's a judgment call on my part, but so far it's been a little bit too much of a stretch. So if you get an email from me saying that, know you're not the only one who that's happened to, and that's something that I unfortunately have to be strict on, because there's only so much that can be covered in a particular video of a certain length that we're targeting, and I think that there are sometimes implications about the game at large that go beyond some of the ideas that have been submitted. There's a lot of what-if scenarios, So I unfortunately have to be strict on that. And if it's possible to rewrite the faction with the current rulebook, I'll see if I can work with you to do that. I've already had to do that once. And that is something that's unfortunately going to have to be really strict. The second thing is to make sure that the faction you're submitting is actually your own faction. It's not meant to be faction submitted on someone's behalf, or a faction that you like that you submitted on that you're submitting on behalf of someone that you saw online. This is, you are the author and this is your idea. That's something that we have to make sure. So just make sure that you consider that when you're submitting your factions, and if things change, there'll be future updates, but keep doing what you're doing. They've been absolutely great, and I look forward to seeing what everyone else has to offer. Thanks a lot.